Hi, welcome back to my channel, Bekah's Bookshelves. Today's video is part 1 of my October reading wrap up. I just want to start by saying that I apologise for looking like shit, sounding like shit. I'm still poorly with COVID. However, I have my inhaler, I have a drink, and I've got plenty of painkillers in my system, so I'm here. Let's just do it. If I don't do it now, it'll be like December and I still won't have done it. So I started October with massive ambitions. Like I was like, I'm gonna read this and read that and yeah, I read a total of 13 books, which for some is great, but for me that is a low number, especially considering that half of those, well, just over half, 7 of those were audiobooks. So for me to actually read 6 books in a month is just, it's nothing. I don't even know where October went. It just literally vanished in a puff of smoke. And then we started the shitstorm of November, so yay! And so a few stats first, just to let you know how things went. So 13 books, 6 were actual either physical or ebooks, and 7 were audiobooks. There were 3 5 stars, 5 4 stars, 4 3 stars, 1 2 star, and 0 1 stars. So I'd say it was an alright month. So what I'm going to tell you about first is the book that I read for Banned Books Week. And I started the month with The Absolutely True Diary of a Part-Time Indian by Sherman Alexie. This one follows a young teenage boy called Junior who lives on a reservation. He attends the reservation school but decides that to sort of get the education and career he wants, he moves to an all-white off-the-res school, and it sort of deals with bullying. Junior has got some physical disabilities, and not only that, obviously there's racism as well, so it does deal with bullying and racism and, you know, somebody not fitting in and feeling unwelcome. It was a really great book, and when I was trying to find out why it was banned in some places, the only thing I could find was that it mentions masturbation. This young boy talks about masturbation, I think like twice. It's not a big theme within the book, and people think that that's inappropriate. However, this is, I'm sure he's about 15, this kid, maybe a little younger, I can't remember, but it felt appropriate when I read it. It didn't feel like, oh my god, kids shouldn't be reading about this. It was very much the boy kind of story of what he gets up to in his spare time. So I don't understand the banned books bit. But yeah, so I listened to the audio of that, and it was really great audio, and I just whizzed through it and rated it, what did I rate it? 4 stars. So yeah, I really enjoyed it. And then the next book I want to tell you about, it seems to be doing the rounds at the moment within the book community, and bizarrely I'd never heard of it up until last month, and it's The Haunted Vagina by Carlton Mellick III. And I'm in like an online book club, and we decided in October we was going to read something that had a bit of a spooky vibe, but that was completely out of any of our comfort zones, and that it was a book none of us would ever have chosen. And we came up with this The Haunted Vagina. And since then, really weirdly, I've seen it on several Facebook reading groups. It's been on the Pop Sugar group and different things. And there's even YouTube videos of people doing reading vlogs. And I don't understand where it's suddenly come from, because this isn't a new release book. And this author isn't a new author. He's been around writing this type of bizarro fiction, it's called, for quite some time. So I don't understand why it's suddenly in everyone's faces. What I want to say is that all the posts, the reviews, the video, I've only seen one video, and they're not favourable for this book. And I wouldn't expect them to be, based on the people that are reading them and doing these reviews. What I think is incredibly unfair on authors is for somebody to specifically go out of their way to read and review a book that they know they will hate, just for the sake of, I don't know, being on trend or popularity, or to provide entertainment value to others. I just think it's just not fair on the author. This author has put time and effort into their work. They have a niche area that they write about. Not everybody is their target audience, and they know that. So then it's not fair for those people to specifically go out of their way to then slate a book that wasn't even aimed at them in the first place. Like I am not into like epic fantasy, so I don't go out of my way to read it, to slate it, because what is the point in that? It's not aimed at me. So it's a very hard review to do for this book, because I personally did not enjoy this book. My enjoyment was at a 2-star level, but that doesn't mean the book is bad. Was it bizarre? Yes, so it fits the genre. Was it completely out there? Yes, that's what the author intended to do. You know, was it cringy and cheesy and have all sorts of weird crap happening in it that just isn't possible or even imaginable by most of us? Yes, but that's what it's supposed to have. So it does what it's supposed to do. And the target audience within other groups, because I'm in a couple of quite hardcore horror groups, and people do love his work, and those are the people that this book is targeted at. So yeah, it is as crazy as the title suggests. The Haunted Vagina. Basically, a woman is in a relationship with this bloke, and one night during sex he hears weird noises coming from her vagina, and when he investigates, there's like this thing trying to crawl out of her vagina, and it's like a skeleton, and it's pulling itself out, and when it comes out it's trying to attack him. And then she's like, oh yeah, I always knew my vagina was haunted, you know, I thought it was a special thing. And he was like, hang on a minute, let's go and investigate. And they decide that the guy is going to climb into her vagina and investigate, and it turns out it's not haunted, it's a portal to another dimension. So all this weird shit happens, and eventually he comes back and he's changed, and then he goes back in again, and then he gets stuck there, and it is crazy, but it's supposed to be. So if you know you're not going to enjoy it, if you have no interest in that book, don't read it and don't slate it. Just leave it alone for the people who it's intended for. So there's my rant over and done with. The Haunted Vagina, personally 2 stars. However, that's not a real rating because it's not for me. I want to say that is all the controversy over and done with, but I feel like it isn't, because next up is Cemetery Boys by Aidan Thomas, and I feel like I am the odd one out here because everybody seems to love this book, and I thought it was okay. I felt like the plot was just missing something. There were large chunks that didn't seem to contribute anything to the story or move it forward or anything. They were just filler. So Cemetery Boys follows a teenage boy called Yadriel, and he is trans, and his family are very traditional Latinx, and they don't accept the fact that he is trans. He wants to be a bourgeois, one of the men of the family, And the Brujos, they have this ability to summon spirits and to help them cross over so that they're not trapped on Earth any longer. But they won't allow Yadriel to become one of the Brujos because they don't accept that he's a boy. So he gets with his best friend Maritza, and they do the kind of ritual themselves, and he accidentally ends up summoning the spirit of somebody who passed away from his school very recently, and that would be Julian. And Julian does not want to be crossed over. He wants to find out what happened, how he died, who killed him. And it sounds really great. It has lots of promise, this book. The characters were fantastic. I really, really liked the characters. And I liked the overall idea of, somebody overcoming the barriers of their culture and standing up to the family and being who they are, not what other people want them to be. It just, there was something. I don't really know what it was. I just didn't quite connect to this book. And it's a shame. But yeah, that for me was a 3-star. And another audiobook I listened to was an ARC from NetGalley, and that was These Vengeful Hearts by Catherine Lorin. This was said to be comparable to like a Mean Girls type story, and it really did give me that kind of feeling of all the teen drama and high school politics, and it's basically a YA thriller. I think it's a thriller. It's quite hard to place it into a category, I think, because it's not. So there's the secret society in school, and this secret society is called the Red Court, and it's led by the Red Queen, and nobody knows who is in the Red Court. Not even members of the Red Court, they don't know each other. And students can submit a request for a favour to be done by the Red Court. And by favour, I mean things like changing grades, breaking up couples, ending teachers' careers. It gets crazy. So there is some suspension of belief required, because this group of teenage girls, they literally run the school, and they've got all sorts of resources. They've got people who can hack into the school computers and the security systems and all sorts. What happened was, Ember is the main character, and her big sister was in an incident that was caused by the Red Court years back that led her to be paralysed. And so Ember comes up with this plan that she's going to join the Red Court and bring it down from the inside. She's going to seek vengeance. And so we kind of follow Ember as she enters the Red Court and the things that she then has to do to prove she's part of the group before she can then find a way to discover who the members are and bring them down. And it was kind of fun. And it was a very, very easy book to listen to. The narrator was fantastic. It was very engaging, and I just really enjoyed it. It was one of them where you don't have to think too much about it. You're not following complex plot lines. It was full of teenage drama and, cliches in school, but that's what it's supposed to be. So I really enjoyed that one, and I ended up giving that one 4 stars. And next up is a reread for me. I've previously read it as a physical book, and this time I did the audio book, and it was One of Us by Craig DeLuey. This is set in the 80s in Deep South America, and there's generations of children being born. They call them the plague generation because they are mutants, and it's genetic mutation, and we never get a reason why this is happening within the book. But these children have often got animal body parts, or that they are just plain mutants. Something's gone horribly wrong in their genetics, and these children all end up in children's homes across America. So we follow a group of children in one set home, and the main character is Enoch, who has the body of a boy but the head of a dog, and he just gets on with what he's doing. These children work on local farms as basically free labour, slave labour, I guess, and he works hard, he's respectful of everybody, and he just wants to be respected himself. He just wants to not have people treat him like a piece of crap, or like, you know, a monster, basically. And unfortunately, that isn't going to happen. The community are not only frightened of these mutant children, but they're also quite disgusted by them, and they don't want anything to do with them. Enoch makes friends with a couple of the local children or teenagers that are more open-minded, and he thinks everything is going well. Unfortunately, one of those children ends up murdered, and Enoch himself is set up to take the flak for it. That, along with, there's another quite a serious incident within the community at roughly the same time, and these incidents set off this massive ball of chaos rolling away through a community. And it's just, the kids, these mutant children, are discovering that they've got special powers, and they are gathering themselves to kind of lead a rebellion against society, I guess. And it has been dubbed to be a little bit like To Kill a Mockingbird, but with a dystopian sci-fi twist. And I can kind of see that. I guess what they're saying in that is that these children are treated very much like the black people were treated in To Kill a Mockingbird. It does deal massively with some big issues of racism, discrimination, sexism, there's sexual assault, rape, murder. I can't think what else there is, and there are some gruesome parts as well, so it's not for everybody, this book. However, I absolutely love this book, I really do, and I gave it 5 stars again for the second time, which was not a surprise to me. Next up is a book called Monstre Volume 1 by Duncan Swan. That is how you pronounce it. I have emailed the publishers and checked because I did not have a clue. I was like, is it monster, monster, monstre? I don't know. Apparently it's pronounced like you would in France, monstre. So this, I thought this was going to end up being a pretty crap book, if I'm honest. I didn't have high hopes for it at all, and to be honest, I regretted requesting it on NetGalley. However, boy did this book change my mind. Like, I loved it. So this tells the story of there's been an incident at a nuclear power plant in Sweden, and toxic clouds of smoke are spreading across the world, and we get to see the story from different points of view. So it does what a lot of post-apocalyptic and that kind of book does, in that it follows different groups of survivors telling the story from different points of view, different parts of the world. And it did it really, really well. And not only that, but it jumps forward and back in time a bit as well. So we're following the story of people in the immediate aftermath of this incident, but then we also see the story from round about the day 89 mark, I think it was. And so you just get this fantastic overview of what's going on in the fog, and then this kind of sense of dread that people on the other side of the world are feeling, knowing that this cloud of toxic, you know, smoke is coming for them slowly, and they've got nowhere to go. And it was really, really great at building up this like tension, atmosphere, you know, this kind of, what on earth are we going to do? There's no way of getting away from it. Now, in the first couple of chapters, readers discover that there's something alien about what's going on, as in it's got an alien element to it. And straight away, as soon as I realised that, I thought, oh, for God's sake, this is not going to be the book for me. I don't enjoy aliens. And you know what? If you've ever watched Starship Troopers, the movie, it's just that. It was absolutely fantastic. Like, the aliens are there, but they're quite a small part to the story. And they're done very, very well. It's not like total, you know, unbelievable stuff. It was really, really well done. And so it turns out that weird alien bug creatures are my thing. I loved it so much. And the publishers told me that volume 2 is likely to be published in the fall of 2021. So I've only got a year to wait until the next instalment, but trust me, I will be eagerly awaiting that one. And we might as well finish with another controversial book, A Deadly Education by Naomi Novik. I got this as an ARC, and it just happened that I started reading it one night, and then the next morning woke up to social media exploding about this book. Apparently it is racist. There's lots of microaggressions in it. People were offended by some of the characters and some of the things that were said. I clearly am not a known voices reviewer for any of those issues. There was issues regarding Indian people, black people, Chinese people. I think it's not my arena at all, so I can't comment on any of that. I don't think it's my place or my right to comment on any of that. And so I just rated this book based on my reading experience, the storyline, the, you know, whether I enjoyed it, basically. And yeah, it was okay. So A Deadly Education is book 1 of the Scholomance series, and it follows teenage children who are in a magical boarding school. They get chosen to enter there, and then once in, the only way to get out is to either graduate or die. It sounded a little bit like Hogwarts initially. However, there are basically no friendships, no fun, no school holidays, no family visits, nothing. It's like hell, and they've just got to survive it. So it really is a deadly education. And this boarding school is full of evil creatures that want to kill the students. And that is part of the way that they encourage students to learn. And so students have got to learn spells to get them by, or else they will very quickly be killed by these evil creatures. I'm not even going to try and pronounce them. The author didn't know how to pronounce them on an author chat, so I'm leaving it. They're evil creatures to me. So we follow Elle, who is a loner, basically. She's got this kind of power that if she uses it, it quite often goes dark. So she could kill some of the monsters, but then she might kill every single person within, you know, a 500-meter radius of that monster as well. So she very much keeps herself to herself, keeps her head down. She's trying to do her best to survive and to build up some magic stores ready for graduation, when they all have to fight a hall full of monsters just to get out the doors to graduate. One of the things that happens in the Scholomance that I thought was particularly interesting is that the way they encourage students to learn other languages is to provide life-saving spells in that other language. And so obviously the students have to learn that language in order to understand and use the spell. I thought that was a great element added to this story. And then we've got a sort of chosen one type lad, and everybody loves him. He's always saving people's lives, killing evil creatures. But Elle just gets pissed off whenever he saves her life because she doesn't want him to do it. She wants to figure things out for herself and not be reliant on this, you know, chosen golden boy. So I think this book had a lot of potential. With it being the first in the series, it was very much an info dump type book, because we have to very quickly learn about the world that the story is set in. And so we did have very big chunks of the book that were just information about world building, and they didn't really form a massive part of the story. So I ended up rating this book itself 3 stars. However, I have a feeling that this series will get a lot better as it goes on, because once we've kind of built that world in book 1, the rest of the series, and I think it's going to be a trilogy, hopefully can then focus on the plot and the characters. And that is all the books that I'm going to tell you about in this. I will be doing part 2 of my wrap up some point in the next week, depending on how I'm feeling. And I apologise again for being a bit, oh, my mind's just everywhere and I feel rubbish. So thank you for sticking with me. Thank you for watching this video, and I will see you all soon. Bye.